Well, hello there. How are you? How you doing? What's happening? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. What's happening? What's going on? It's all right. How you doing? Okay. It's Tuesday, and of course that means the SOTU is tonight. So I'm going to try and keep this high and tight. We're trying. I've got obviously like every other day. I have way too much stuff to cover, but I will get through it as fast as I can, as best I can. Thank you, 99 Red Buffoons. I thought that was pretty good. I was pretty happy about that one, considering there's about 100 people in the Freedom Caucus, something like that. Anyways, hi. Couple things. One, like, subscribe, patreon.com/HalSparks. Twitch, obviously our numbers have dwindled in the subscription things. Apparently it's, when you have the tens of thousands like some of these other accounts have, it's harder to even notice a shift like this. But to me, it's drastic. So if you haven't subscribed in a while, you're on Twitch and you're welcome to come in and do that. Okay. Also, there's a couple things, a couple of housekeeping things in general, which are, Philip's going to be on with us tomorrow. And then I'm going to have another guest on Friday I'm working on right now. Wish me luck. Still no word from Mike Pillow. And he's got all this free time since he's not the head of the RNC. So, anyways, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. Hugs back to you wherever you are in this crazy, mixed up, sassy world we all live in. And let's get started. Shall we jump right in? Because there's first of all, let's say hi to the chat room. Hi, chat room. Hi, guys. Hello. You're awesome. And did I fly high today? No, ground school today. But it's windy. You just got to adapt. And yeah, so there you go. Hi, there you go. Yay, look at that. So subscribe on Twitch. Subscribing, if you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. Also, memberships on YouTube. Subscribing on YouTube is free. What else? Facebook. Hi, Facebook. Are you guys there? Are you in today? Facebook, you guys around? I don't see you in there yet. See mostly Twitch and YouTube. Did we lose? 3 of 3. There you go. There you popped in. There's some people. Because they watch, but they don't necessarily, tune in. It takes you a little while. Facebook, stand up and be proud. Show them where you are. Let them know you're there. Excellent. Hi, Facebook. And if anybody wants to translate our German-speaking Facebook friend for me on the fly, it would be much appreciated, because doing the show and finding the links and stuff that I'm doing to reference what we're doing and translating German on the fly, I gotta set up a ChatGPT thing to do that or some shit. I gotta. So yeah, anybody who feels like, doing the click farming on that, love to see that happen. When it happens, it's a good time. It's always like, it's just a series of German statements going by. Well, it'd be nice to know what that is. I suppose. Anyways, Gesundheit. Yeah, somebody figure that out for me. Guten Tag. Schön dich zu sehen. I mean, I can speak some, but, don't get into long-form sentences, or you'll clean it up. I'm just saying. Fix the volume. My volume's okay? The volume's okay. I'm loud enough, am I? Yeah? Should be all right. AI will definitely close the language barriers, but it'll also take away the fun part of actually learning to speak those languages. It's interesting that, we'll get into that. That's another time. I'm high and tight tonight, kids. I got to jump straight in because we got all this balloon juice. Obviously, it should come as no surprise. Let me scroll this down here. That Greg Kelly will never be satisfied with reality. God damn it, there's still unanswered questions from the Paul Pelosi thing. Why did Paul Pelosi, why was he asleep at that time of night? Why wouldn't a man of that age be up posting to Truth Social and being a bigot from the tower of his golf course? Well, that's what old people do. No, I don't buy it for a second. This whole thing's hinky. And why did we shoot it down and not shoot it down? Why would we wait and to shoot it out of the air when, by the way, the debris field from it covered 15 football fields? It was that wide of space. Why wouldn't you do that over some part of Kansas? Kid walking home from school, little piece of a solar panel that drives an engine on this flying fucking three Greyhound bus wide piece of gear lands on his head, but he took it in the head for America. If it wasn't for head injuries, we wouldn't even have Greg Kelly. So maybe he's just, this is his idea of paying it forward. Greg Kelly believes that CTE is his gift to humanity. Be like Greg. Slam your head in a car door over and over again until everything is puzzling. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this is a newswax celebrity called Greg Kelly, and his dad was the commissioner of police in New York, which is really great for getting out of rape charges, I hear. And anyways, he changed his name to G. Raymond Kelly for a week last summer because he was going to run for office. And then he pulled the cord on it because he was like, wait, when was the primary? Fuck. And then he dialed it back. Super fun. Anyways, so he's very upset. Greg Kelly, and this is, normally I don't see this kind of language out of Greg. Greg Kelly, preposterous Joe Biden may be compromised. Okay, first of all, take out the maybe. It makes you sound wishy-washy. Secondly, preposterous. That's the word outrageous as it was used in the 20s. These charges against me are preposterous. Preposterous. Good Lord. Did he whisk the brim of his hat as he was... That's preposterous. I've never heard anything like that in my entire life. Already I'm annoyed. Joe is failing his oath. Failing his oath. Okay, so it was accidental. You don't think he's not subverting. He may be compromised, but he's definitely failing his oath. But it could be on purpose, but probably not. We don't know. We'll find out. What the fuck is he talking about? Who can say? We might and by the way, because I'm tight on time tonight, I might dive out on this because it's not like he's going to change tacks in the middle. This is going to be a bait video. I know it.
Aim, fire, right? Isn't that how it's supposed to go? Ready, aim, fire. No, for Joe Biden, it's ready, aim, and whenever you feel like it, that would be great.
See, because he said fire on. He said. Shoot it down, and they said whenever it's safe to do so. After that conversation would be ready, aim, fire. And also, ready, aim, fire is from firing squads. I would like to say no military order is given as such other than a firing squad. I'm just saying, and rarely against a moving target. I'm just saying, but I mean. He needed an opener. He thought it was funny. They got to go with something. And Fiverr's closing at 6 p.m. these days, so they got to get their order in early.
Joe Biden is really a preposterous president.
Preposterous. That's strong words from a claymation human.
Preposterous. I think that's the word. Utterly absurd and ridiculous, and that makes.
Hey, you had to look at it. He's like, what is preposterous mean? I wrote it down.
Makes him dangerous. Now
dangerously preposterous. The dangerously preposterous presidency of Joe Biden by Greg Kelly, complete with centerfolds. What an asshole. Do you think he's just tired of his own insults at this point? Good God.
He has completely opened our southern border, and now...
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. And by the way, as... let's see if I can find this real quick. It'll be on Twitter. And... And we'll go to this guy. And we go to... And we do it here. And we go that. And here we go. Yeah, here we go. Right up at the top. Maxwell Frost coming in hot. This is my favorite congressional clip of the day that isn't hilarious because Marjorie Taylor Greene is an idiot. This is Rep. Frost talking to the head of the CPB. Hold on. This is the question.
You know, it's unfortunate that this hearing started off with a ton of hyperbole and posturing saying that President Biden and his administration have created the worst border crisis in American history. That isn't about oversight. It's about stoking the fears of immigrants and those seeking asylum. And it's something I take personally as a son of a Cuban refugee. Look, for many folks around the country who might only watch far-right media or just listen to even some of the folks on this committee, I'm curious, Chief Chavez, when President Biden took office, did your agents stop enforcing the border and just allow everybody to come in, thus creating what we hear here is an open border? Did that happen when the president took office?
Sir, thank you for your question. The answer is no, sir.
Okay,
we
thank you.
continue to enforce policy and laws.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Chief Modlin, when President Biden took office, did the border just open and did y'all stop enforcing your policies?
Also, thank you for your question, sir. I can tell you this is the fifth administration I've worked for, starting with the Clinton administration, and Border Patrol agents do their job every day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Look, look.
There you go. So, the daily shitting on the actual people that do their job just as an attempt to take shots at the preposterous presidency of Joe Biden is aggravating. Sorry, Hal, I know where those jets are from, Shaw Air Force Base 77 Fighter Squadron. Good people, good for, they're working hard. Anyway, so here's this. Let's go back to Greg Kelly shitting on Border Patrol agents just for the fuck of it.
Now the whole world knows our skies are wide open as well.
Oh my God. You could see all the way to space, depending on cloud cover. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, we'll just let you. That's why we tracked it, circled it, jammed it, and shot it down. If that doesn't say open, I don't know what the fuck is. I'm surprised we didn't chuck all the extra fentanyl we have at it.
China did, I believe, is a test to see what we would do, how we would do it, and no one is impressed.
Well, obviously, the primary thing is, will they even see it or notice or do anything? And yes, we tracked it, followed it, jammed it, shot it down. We didn't shoot it down over the houses of Americans so that they don't get shrapnel in their cornflakes, but, you know.
Total embarrassment. China, our enemy, just ate our breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a midnight snack, too.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's how preposterous came about. He's run out of phrases. China's going to eat our lunch is now everything all at once. Fucking
Biden
hell.
administration's explanation, well, Trump had China balloons, too. Total lie, by the way. More on that in a little bit.
No, not a total lie. More on exactly.
Anyway, a U.S. president, any U.S. president, has the constitutional responsibility to protect our borders. And you can look at...
That's right. And one of the things they might not do, and this might come as a shock to some people, is down foreign aircraft over the continental United States or any populated land wherein Americans would be killed when they would not otherwise have been. I think that sort of makes its way into the... No? All right.
Look it up. The United States shall guarantee...
Yeah, read it. You know what? Actually, ma'am, what it says right here is 30 minutes or less or the pizza is free. It's right here on the box that was in my hand. Shit, it's been 29 minutes. Next time, watch yourself.
Every state in this union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. Now, why blow off one of his key responsibilities? Does he not care?
Yes, the great balloon invasion of 2023 and the mystery Inviso invasion during Trump. So it's only an invasion if you see it, or I guess fabricate it in terms of the border.
Is Joe Biden somehow compromised?
Oh, I don't know. It's a tough question. Let's see. China obviously gave him $1 billion, and he surreptitiously bent them over a table. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what they're into. Maybe China. You see the GIMP outfit. It's on a mannequin in the window, and you're like, I wonder what that's like. And then the next thing you know, you're trying to get really odd stains out of it in an awkward discussion with your dry cleaner.
Well, if you've been
I'm not speaking from experience.
watching Joe closely, we do know some absolutes about him.
He's white. He's tallish. He's president of the United States. He's got good taste in ties. Likes dogs. What else?
He has no integrity.
Okay, that you can see. I mean, you look at somebody like Greg. Like I can look at you, and clearly see that you're morally vacuous, easily perturbed weasel dweeb. And I could just, I mean, I don't know if it's I think it's the tie tells me, is like clues me in, and then after a second, my dweeber beam can suss it out in a second.
He is exceedingly dumb.
He's exceedingly dumb. Now you sound jealous.
And he's greedy. He has a
Oh, he's greedy. He's got like a fucking house on every coast and all these golf courses, and everything's covered in like gold leafing and just shit curly Q French furniture. Oh wait, that's the other guy.
lust for real estate. According to him, he said this out loud. Expensive clothes, fast cars, weirdo high-end photography.
Weirdo high-end photography. What makes a billionaire more than 3 5-bedroom houses that you bought late in life, a single Corvette, a tux with by the way, with a bow tie that could be used as a weapon. I'm just saying, and pictures of you and your kid. Now, granted, we've never seen a picture of Greg and his family. We're probably not going to. Most of us don't want to. But the reason he doesn't have them is not because they don't like him and he doesn't like them and he's too miserable, and I don't know, the wife just fears that he'll rub off on the children and they'll be as miserable and hated as he is. Or they won't sit in a picture with him for other reasons. Or it's just, it's so nouveau riche. You know? It's what the new money do. Greg's old money. He doesn't have to do that shit.
And you can't get this stuff, by the way, on a government salary.
No, you can't. That's why you have to sell a book, and then you can get plenty of that shit with $22 million. As a matter of fact, Trump's entire lifestyle, like all the businesses, can be running about $25 million a year, and that's supposed to be a $10 million enterprise. It turns out Trump he makes way less than that, somewhere in the order of like himself, not these investments that are all tied up and he couldn't liquidate them if he wanted to because they're not worth what he says. But like he makes about $1.5 million a year, and that's fair. That's shit, really. Seinfeld is richer than Trump. I'm just saying.
Or royalties from a vice presidential memoir. You got to
No, yeah, you get the advance and the royalties. Yeah.
go shopping. And it looks like Joe Biden went shopping globally.
Yeah. Did his phone just go off?
Taking Hunter
It did. That wasn't related. That they just left it in.
Biden to China. Here they are arriving in Beijing, and Joe meeting with Hunter's shady friends on that trip to China. Remember this? Maybe you don't.
I remember.
By the fake news.
Whether I'm in
Buried by the fake news so you're. It's nice of him. Wait, no. Don't get upset. This is. Look at Greg being nice. He doesn't think that ABC News is fake news. He's saying the fake news buried it. Here it is on ABC. All right.
New York or whether I'm in Washington, D.C., a friend and a business associate is in the hotel, and my dad's staying there. Is it inappropriate for me to have coffee with them?
Yes, and potentially illegal.
No. Not unless your dad is there talking about it and arranging things. It's not even illegal for him to meet him. It's not even illegal for them to have dinner together.
His entanglements with China are deep, with the rich people, with the spy community.
With the noodle salesmen down the block, with the sand entrepreneurs.
And why is he there? He's there because of his old man.
I have another New York Times reporter calling about my representation of literally, Dr. Patrick Koh, the spy chief of China, who started the company that my partner, who was worth $323 billion, founded, and is now missing. The richest man in the world is missing, who was my partner. He was missing since I last saw him in his $58 million apartment and signed a $4 billion deal to build the largest LNG port in the world.
Which, by the way, isn't in China.
So that's a lot of numbers and China and Hunter, and he's all emotional about it. He was worried about the heat, right, from the New York Times?
Or he was actually worried about the guy's life.
Well, listen to the sense of relief in Joe Biden's voice when the story finally comes out.
Hey, pal, it's Dad. It's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, it's going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
And Joe Biden.
Notice how there's nothing in there where he's like, I think you're clear means I think they're going to, this is over, which is what you would say about the people going after you. But also, at no point is he saying we got him or any of the kind of like they bought it kind of language. I mean, like Biden, I guess in theory would be smarter than that, but Greg isn't.
He's almost always talking for the record, you know? It's an old trick of bureaucrats, you know, just in case anybody else is listening. I'm not alarmed here. I'm just checking in and I love you, pal. But if an article comes out in the New York Times and it's about you, hey, let's talk right away. That's how normal people would handle
Yeah, that's exactly how normal people handle it.
My impression. So when Joe Biden gets notification that
Wait a minute. Is that what your dad said to you, Greg, when the whole rape charge thing came out in the newspaper? Because if you guys don't know that, hold on. Let's see. That story. TV's Greg Kelly raped me, made me pregnant, accuser told investigators. So I guess January 25th, 24th, maybe, 2012, did Greg's dad call him and go, hey, there's an article in the paper about you tomorrow. Call me, see? Yeah, see? Listen here, see? Whoops, shit.
comes out in the New York Times and it's about you, hey, let's talk right away. That's how.
Yeah, that's by the way, if I was Greg Kelly's dad and I saw the digital version of this story come out the night before it was coming out in print in the morning, that's probably the tone I would take. Wouldn't you?
Normal people would handle it. My impression.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks for reminding me, Chad. Greg Kelly's dad was the police commissioner in New York.
So when Joe Biden gets notification that a Chinese surveillance airship is over the continental United States, it's not a cut and dried situation. Certainly not like this. He says it was easy peasy, right? Very simple. This is presidential decision-making 101.
I order the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, which was several more days. So it could travel another 2,000
Notice he stops the part where he says where he could do it safely.
miles across our...
Do you notice that? You notice that? Hold on. I mean, you guys have probably seen this, but it's fun. Hold on. Biden ordered shut down. There we go. It'll be on here somewhere.
I order the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Notice how Greg leaves out the whole when they can do it safely. Yeah.
Our entire country before taking that shot. Yeah.
Well, obviously it didn't fly over Portland because there's nothing to see.
Take a look. There it goes.
Also, that you're just going to leave out the fact that it was over or South Dakota and Wyoming,
All the way to South Carolina, and then you take the shot. Joe is probably.
by the way, within 12 miles of shore in 47 feet deep water so that they could salvage it. Pretty tasty shooting there. Hey, nice shooting there, Tex.
Probably not telling the truth. That's almost a certainty, okay?
No, it isn't.
To allow that thing.
Joe can't talk the talk or walk the walk. All right. They're running out of stuff
From
now.
China to cruise all across our country. Well, I've always been confident that Joe is incompetent. And after Afghanistan, Joe, I am firmly convinced, does not know how to be commander-in-chief. Now, sometimes you follow the military's advice.
Yes, a real commander-in-chief would have stayed in Afghanistan forever like Trump planned to do.
Sometimes you say, get me more options. You guys are wrong. You got to do it this way, not your way. Instead, in a country, we are suddenly, I don't know, consumed with safety, right? Weren't we founded by pioneers, people who...
Yes. But since then, we got a lot of suburbs, fucko, with people trying to drive to work who don't need their head pierced by a chunk of satellite because you fuckers don't trust technology. You don't think the Air Force knows what the fuck they're doing. This is so fucking lazy. Oh, God.
who kind of took a risk, but now it's all safety first.
Yeah, it's all you fucking lazy Midwesterners. It's those bitches in Billings that didn't want to. If they'd had any nuts between them, they could have shot the fucker down and tried to catch it. Where's your giant mitt? Do you American, great American pastime or not, bro?
I order the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later. Thank you.
Mr. President, what did you say about China?
He waited until after. Didn't say a word about this until after. Why not? And
Because they were monitoring it, working on the SO2, and basically pulling back the Blinken, like having meetings about whether Blinken goes to China. I would say that. Considering Biden's wearing aviators and Greg Kelly flew planes, aviate, navigate, communicate. You fly the plane, you pick your destination, then you talk about it, especially in an emergency. That's what you do whenever you're in trouble in an airplane: aviate, navigate, communicate. First thing you do is fly the fucking plane. Second thing you do is then, once you've got that under control, then you pick where you're going to go. If you have to do an emergency landing, then you tell everybody what's happening. You don't just yell Mayday, Mayday, and then I'll talk to somebody first and then grab the controls, that kind of thing.
safety.
But that's because Trump was all showboat, and that's what Greg liked the most about Trump, was that he didn't do anything, but he said he was doing shit all the time.
It's all about safety, 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 safety.
Of the American people, dumb fuck. Yeah, the people who are under the goddamn thing. The fuck are you talking about? What a cascading pussy this dude is. It's amazing.
The president gave instructions to have it handled, to have it shot down in a way that was safe.
Obviously, the military's judgment was that it was much safer to do it over water.
The two priorities by the military and the Biden administration were to keep people safe and to only shoot it down when it was safest. And they did that as soon as it hit the coastline.
Hey.
Fucking Americans. You lazy, you weak Americans. What the fuck's wrong with you? Why don't you go out there, take one of the giant American flags that you all have in storage, the ones that can cover a football field so people can move in and out of it and make a bounce like the bouncy girl in Big Lebowski, and then anybody with a gun with a 60,000 foot range, shoot it down and then we'll all catch it for America. And if we're a little bit off, so it hits a school. A couple of fewer mouths to feed.
You know, we had bigger problems than that balloon crashing into the ground, potentially.
No, we really didn't.
Blaine Holt is a retired general in the Air Force, a pilot, one of the smartest men in America when it comes to national defense, and he's a Newsmax contributor.
I'm much, much more concerned about the blind trust that we placed in this thing not having an electromagnetic pulse capability.
Right.
Oh, my God. Yes, as it moved from out of the Wyoming area, away from the nuclear sites, to Missouri and Kansas, where it really would have done some damage to a couple of targets, and then drifted down to South Carolina, where it might have pulled the plug on Lindsey Graham's drop-down hair dryer. Lord almighty, what was that noise?
Some sort of biological weapons on board.
Again, then if you shoot it down over ground, what the fuck do you think's gonna happen when it hits? Also, if you just destroy it because you're fucking paranoid, you don't get to recover it and look at it and see what it was capable of. You just obliterated it. This is so fucking stupid.
What were we thinking?
We were thinking that we have the technology to scan it and know exactly what it's doing, jam its radio transmissions, jam its satellite communications, watch it as it travels, shoot it down, and scavenge it. I don't even know why this is hard.
Allowing this thing to come over our nuclear missile fields when we couldn't 100% assure ourselves of intent. We couldn't possibly.
I'll tell you why. Because there's probably like 80 nuclear missile fields in that top part. We have 2,200 others. Pretty sure they're not going to think they've laid waste to us by sending an electromagnetic pulse over fucking Billings, Montana, which would, by the way, affect civilian infrastructure, absolutely. Probably gut the power grid there and cause a lot of trouble, but it would do fuck all to NORAD or the nuclear weapons up there. And that we wouldn't just fire our own? What, mutual assured destruction gets thrown out of the window when there's a fucking balloon in the air? God damn.
We know what was on board that thing and what the risk would be to our ability to defend ourselves.
Well, that's a lot of stuff to be worried about, right?
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm sphinctering right now. I don't know how. I'm probably going to have to get some sort of an operation. Does anybody have some wire snips?
It could have been a general alarm issued or something like that.
Yes, yes. Get a good old-fashioned panic. That's what we needed. God damn it. Why couldn't we get people to, at least tell people to go out and go, at the sky like John Cleese. Why couldn't we at least send people out to give the sky the finger,
Stay indoors,
Stay indoors, close your drapes. Don't nude sunbathe.
Basement.
Go to the basement. Wait a minute. This is President Greg Kelly has some ideas for how he would have addressed it. America, we find ourselves in another position here that's not my fault, but caused by obviously Democrats who are here, where there's a balloon over Billings, Montana, that has God knows what attached to it. Could be anthrax, could be a nuclear bomb, could be an EMP, this kind of thing. Anyways, we're gonna blow it up. I mean, we don't know what the shrapnel from it will do, and of course, if the balloon itself is full of pathogens, they're gonna rain down over anybody who's underneath them. So even whether you can see it or not, it's best to just, if you have a prepper dungeon in your house, get into it immediately. I don't know. Why is everyone screaming in my office? What?
General alarm issued or something like that. Stay indoors, go to the basement.
Honest to God. What? This is the complaint. Why wasn't there a panic?
There's a reason the Biden administration is not saying as to why this thing was not destroyed almost immediately after it came into our country. And
yeah, they are. because it would have landed on someone. That's the safety part. And because if they wait till it gets over water deep enough, or that will take the impact because it was ginormous, meaning the ocean, then you can reclaim it. You know, it's a little hard to thread the needle of making sure it lands in a fucking lake. Then what if it's a freshwater lake and you need the water for fucking livestock and cattle, and now the EPA's got to test the fucking water for 6 months to make sure that there was something like, I mean, Jesus Christ. Does this asshole ever think past the end of his nose?
And they're not telling us. Instead, they're going back to their safe space, their favorite space. Trump. Trump is to blame. Biden is good.
Nobody said Trump is to blame, just that he didn't know this was happening.
The Pentagon says that they know of the Chinese doing this at least 4 other times previously, once at the beginning of the Biden administration, 3 times during the Trump administration.
Well, the Pentagon has since disclosed that it's apparently happened 4 times before.
We should remember that this is now known to have happened under the Trump administration multiple times.
And we're also told, by the way, that that this happened 3 times under the previous president. Obviously, there were no public notifications there.
This is worse than spin. These are flat-out lies.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Because the people in the Trump administration are going to come out and say, we never heard anything like that. And we just take that, you know, why would they say otherwise?
Total lies and all damage control to protect Joe Biden for his ineptitude and incompetence.
Yeah. That is an unfortunate freeze frame and one of the most egregious liars' tongue juts I have ever seen. Good Lord. Dude, your lips aren't that big. They don't require that much lubrication. I'm going to throw up. So, of course, the Trump administration is going to say they never saw it because it's embarrassing and they'd have to admit that they did. And since they technically can just say, nuh-uh, and that's the extent of it because they're not in office. And by the way, the Biden administration said, well, if you guys want to come in, we're glad to brief you on exactly when it happened. We'll have the Air Force come in and point it out to you.
And a lot of people felt vulnerable last week.
I did. I know I did. It happens afterwards. I mean, Greg, you just get up and you leave the room right after, and I just left feeling naked and alone.
All understand what was happening. You could be in first grade in kindergarten and understand that a China balloon was floating over America and it did not belong there.
Yeah, that's no China balloon.
Everyone was transfixed. America wanted leadership, craved leadership.
Yeah, we're like, what? Do something. Oh, you are doing something? But do something else because I don't like you. You're not going to do what I want just because I don't like you? Because it would be what? Dangerous and stupid? Yeah, but I voted for the other guy.
At that moment. Instead, we got this.
There is no one more clear about what he stands for and who he fights for than our president, Joe Biden.
This is supposed to be the audience watching. Also, the split screen is Greg Kelly's making. While Greg Kelly was cowering in his basement from the Chinese balloon, Biden was giving a speech and going like, was anybody under fucking? Aren't these the anti-lockdown people? What the living shit? Also, what's this supposed to be? Like, he's got 2 mics. Xi Jinping has 4.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband. I want to be real clear. She's a Philly girl.
Oh, brother. She's not a Philly girl. What are they hooping and hollering all about, right?
Yeah, it's almost, that's a noise you've never heard before. Greg. That's the sound of people being glad to see you. It's like, what's this strange voice? What is that? What is that smell that's coming? That's cleanliness, Greg. That's what a clean house smells like. Okay.
And why is he so happy? Why is he so blithe and carefree?
Yes, because why isn't he afraid that a single balloon will take out the entire U.S. military and economy? It's almost as if he has the ability to prioritize or not to panic in the face of something fucking silly. I'm just going to say it. Let me get it. Okay. The whole balloon thing, fucking silly. At no point were American secrets in danger. At no point was the military caught off guard. Like, this is, like, again, this is shit that they've been setting up to track for a while. They noticed one early. It passed way over, and they're like, it's not getting anything more than a satellite. This one came down lower, so they're like, yeah, that's fucked up. That could get some angle, so we're going to track it, block it, and shoot it down. That's it. I'm not going to fucking rearrange my fucking schedule because of that shit. What is wrong with these assholes? If honest to God, if this was reverse this and make it COVID, and Democrats were suggesting that everybody go into their basement while the balloon is over the continental United States until we can shoot it down, or so that we can shoot it down, and if everybody doesn't go into their basement immediately, we won't be able to shoot it down. How many of you think that the fucking right wing and the QAnons and all that crowd would be like, the balloon is a fake, it's a mirage, they're just trying to get us into our basement so they can gas us? Like, and never mind the fact that it's like largely flying over red states where people wouldn't listen anyways. Good Lord, these guys are fucking weak.
Maybe because the balloon is not over his head. Now, a true leader would have been more concerned, or at least faked it.
Yeah. Yes, like all the concern that Trump had about COVID. I think it's nothing. It's going to be gone in a couple weeks. It's just like when the spring and the sunlight knocks it out, you stick a light bulb up your ass, shots of bleach, you're fine. Yeah.
The swamp and the fake news are giving him protection and all.
And they're doing this stuff, and they're not admitting that I was in danger. And it was looking at my Pornhub search results, and I feel so exposed. And I went out to get the newspaper, and I bent over in my robe, and I forgot I was wearing the short one, and my ass was showing, and the China balloon took pictures. And then the Pentagon is gonna have a briefing, and they're gonna show pictures from the spy balloon, and it's gonna show the crack of my ass and the fact that I don't actually have a newspaper subscription. I just moon my neighbor every day. God damn it.
Kinds of credit when he does not deserve any. And he followed the swamp playbook. Officially, he followed all the recommendations of the military. That's what you're supposed to do. Always listen to the men and women in uniform.
The administration did what politicians usually say they want administrations to do, follow the advice of the Pentagon, of the generals, of the admirals.
The important thing is here that the president acted decisively and responsibly.
The White House is adamant that the president was listening to the advice of his...
Why did you throw the Ro Khanna thing in the middle of there? That monkey wrenches your whole argument.
Military commanders who told him to wait.
I was in the military, and I wouldn't have waited. I didn't wait, and obviously you read about that in the paper, but my dad made it go away.
Is that good enough? Is that how it's supposed to work?
Yeah. He gave the order to do the thing safely as possible, and they factored that into their thinking and carried it out. Yes. How other people choose to word it is fucking stupid. Ugh.
Listen to what they say. I don't know what the hell they...
Yeah, Jacoby? No.
They said, I'm sorry. I mean, General Milley is the chief military advisor to the president. This guy.
I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
Here's the problem with a guy like Joe.
He'll never understand it because to do that, he'd have to talk to me. I'm Greg Kelly. I am white rage. And it's really sad because, you know, everybody, you ever notice how people who claim to be the master race, no matter what race they are usually the worst examples of said race? Yeah.
Joe Biden, he doesn't know much. Never served in the military, and that's fine. Sometimes you're overly intimidated by people who served when you haven't served. That's wrong. Sometimes you're overly contemptuous if you've hung around the military a lot.
So there's no magic pill, is there? There's just, now, for the record, the reason he's having trouble with this part of it is because Trump not only didn't serve, but faked bone spurs so he didn't have to. And that's always like this little mini Gordian knot that follows them around.
Somewhat understandable, but it can get you in trouble as well. The military is not always right. You need political leadership to make the right call.
Oh, yeah. You mean like Trump, who said shoot it down immediately, and then 2 days later said we should have kept it and we should search it, and it never would have come anyways, but if it had and I was president, we would have gotten it and looked inside of it to see what they knew after he obliterated it over hard ground. That's leadership. You can choose A or B. I choose both. You can't. You have to choose A or B. I choose both. No, A is very different than B. They're not even closely. You have to pick one because of shit like gravity. So no, I choose both. Just put me down for both. You can't. It has to be A or B. Look, who's president? Okay, I'm the leader. Both.
Having served.
All right, just do the one we know is good and then tell him you did the other one too. How? Just say it. He doesn't give a shit.
In the military, I know firsthand they can get it wrong. And
yeah, I know. You were in there. We get it. No group is perfect. They accepted you. We understand. Doesn't mean everybody else is full of shit.
Having been alive in America, all of us know how badly they screwed up Iraq and Afghanistan.
I think that the development of the Afghan army is on a very good path right now.
We've made tremendous strides, incredible progress in the last 20 months.
The solid partnership has been the thing that has been really striking for me all around the country.
It's fair to ask if we're winning in Afghanistan. I believe the answer is yes, and several facts allow me to say that with confidence.
And we've seen some great progress in some of the operations based, even at the tactical level, on intelligence.
Okay, never mind the fact that we got out of Iraq before we got out of Afghanistan. And ultimately, the Iraqi army and the government is currently standing on its own. There is, for all intents and purposes, a functioning government and a functioning military and normalcy of some sort post-Saddam Hussein in Iraq right now. It's not Syria where it's in a constant civil war. It's in a functional state. So move that to the side. Before even, Biden was on, as a president, could even make a decision about that. There's a pin in that. Insofar as Afghanistan, it was never going to be that, as best we tried for a long time to try and stand up that government there and make it, more of an open society for women and girls and that kind of stuff. There was not the political will. The voter block went down every year. And the promise was, well, at a certain point, we can't solve it, so we got to get out. The generals, by the way, were told Obama and told Trump, you got to stay in, told him exactly this stuff. These guys, which he's bitching about right now, are the very men who told Obama that you got to stay in just a little while longer and we got this, and then told Trump, you just got to stay in this a little while longer. And both acquiesced to their demands and agreed with them. And that's why we remained in Afghanistan, even to a diminished level, all the way up until Joe Biden got us out, because Biden was the one who sat in a room with Obama and said, look, you're going to make the decision, but these guys are going to tell you the same shit forever. And at some point, you got to fucking say no. He's the guy who did that. It's why we're out of Afghanistan. It's because everybody was like, look, if you get out, it's going to be ugly. And your poll numbers will take a hit. And nobody will, it'll hang around your neck like an albatross. And there's no upside to getting the fuck out of here. It's going to be ugly no matter when you do it. And so everybody punted because they had domestic priorities or other shit that they had to do, or Trump just didn't give a rat's ass. Ultimately, we now know that he was planning on staying forever anyway, so it was always a ghost. But when Biden came in, the generals said to him the exact same thing. They said, yeah, he set this date, but we don't have to meet this. We're not even prepared to meet it. And if we don't, we should stick around for maybe another 18 months. And he was like, nope. Out. And they'll never stop giving him shit. Hal, are you saying this whole balloon story is inflated? Yes, Larry Fig, I am. That's a lot. That's exactly it. Tori, thank you so much for the super chats. By the way, don't forget super chats, patreon.com/HalSparks. We got some new patrons the other day, and thank you guys so much for that. We're growing. We're growing. It's happening. We're trying to hit that 50K number. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Here we go. Now, again, this is exactly the stuff that they were telling Obama, which is why we stayed in. It's exactly the stuff they told Trump. He bought it too, stayed in, and Biden is the one who went, nope, wrap it up.
Intelligence structure.
They showed me the positive changes they have helped bring about, the villages they can now enter, the Afghan police and forces they are training and trying to improve.
It was always the same record, over and over and over again.
Right. Exactly. That's right, Greg. You've accidentally hit on something. Congratulations, fucko. You've done it. You've landed on the civilian leadership aspect of the commander-in-chief and somebody finally making a decision, even though they were hearing the same story from the same guys for 20 fucking years. One person finally said, fuck you, we're out. It was Joseph Robinette Biden. Wasn't Trump. Trump ran on getting us out of Afghanistan, never fucking did. And of course, now we know that in his second term, he had no plans to leave either.
And our troops, our sailors, our Marines, they were let down too often by military leadership and, yes, civilian leadership as well.
First of all, there were no sailors in Afghanistan. It's a little dry for that kind of stuff. I don't know. Well, honest to God, is it possible that Trump deployed Navy into the middle of Afghanistan in their biggest desert? Yeah.
Anyway, back to the balloon debacle. The fake news and the swamp continue to cover for Joe, but there are some cracks emerging. Leon Panetta, he was Secretary of Defense under Barack Obama, big-time Democrat, and listen to him on the fake news. He is not impressed with Joe's handling of this.
Okay, so if he's on the quote-unquote fake news, does it stop being fake news when you agree with what's being said? And if it's fake news, why are they letting somebody on to say something that contradicts it anyways? Kathy, thank you for the super chat. That's lovely. Bless you. Casey, thank you for subscribing. Thanks, Kathy.
If we were aware of the balloon, I think we should have taken steps to prevent it from entering our airspace. And I'm not sure that we should have allowed it to simply cross over the country, cross over what were obviously sensitive military sites. I don't see the logic of that.
Neither do I. Neither will.
Yeah, that's why you have a diverse group of people talking in your cabinet. It's why you bring in people who will disagree, and then ultimately the person who makes the decision is the decider. And in this case, it's Joe Biden. And there were people, I guarantee, in that setting saying the exact same thing Leon Panetta said. And there were people saying, let's tailhook it and grab it and drop it and we'll fly it to Wright-Patterson or some shit. And then there were like, just let it get out over water and we'll shoot it down. We got it jammed. It's fine. And they went with that.
A lot of people. Good for you, Secretary Panetta.
Yeah, there were Navy SEALs in Afghanistan along with the Marine support. Agreed, leather goddess of Phobos, but not sailors. That is my point. He said sailors.
So bad on you for signing that phony letter bailing out the Hunter and Joe Biden, saying the laptop was Russia disinformation.
It is.
Yeah, you signed that letter, didn't you?
Yes, because it is.
But it's interesting. A guy like that, who's bending over backwards to protect Biden, is saying, enough with this guy.
Or he might believe both things because both things are true and totally unrelated.
I think that's very interesting.
It's like on the one hand, he's talking to his kids and saying, when your tooth falls out, I'll give the tooth fairy will leave money under your pillow. And then on the other hand, they're telling their teenage son to brush their teeth and floss more. Like, what the fuck?
Interesting. Anyway, they screwed this thing up in a million different ways, but they bring it back to Trump with a big assist from the fake news.
Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, was speaking at a summit here earlier today, and he actually said the reason we know about this now is because from the very early days of the Biden administration, the president directed his national security team, the intelligence community, to be more vigilant about Chinese espionage efforts, including those over American soil. Sullivan essentially saying that one reason why the Trump administration didn't know about these surveillance balloons that occurred during his administration was because they weren't looking for them. That this is all a result of President Biden, who has been very closely a student of the U.S.-China relationship for decades, especially in the last 10 years since he first met with Xi Jinping.
Is he there under duress? I mean, look at him. I mean, that is kind of hypnotic, right? He just said, did they hypnotize him? Did you hear what he said? Joe Biden was the one who said, look for the balloons. It was.
No, just be more vigilant, because shit's going to ramp up, because we're not cutting off the tariffs and it's going to get worse. Once you start something like the CHIPS Act, the AUKUS agreement, they're going to get more and more desperate, and it's going to be all hands on deck in terms of rejecting spyware and spy work from China.
It's Joe Biden. They wouldn't have been looking for him if it wasn't for Joe Biden. Donald Trump, you needed the leadership of Joe Biden. They weren't looking for these things otherwise. 1959, I think we had NORAD set up, all right? A listening post, watching and waiting for bad guys, communists coming into America. Here's what it looks like today. And if you don't recognize it, say from a documentary, maybe you saw the movie with Matthew Broderick.
Oh, my God.
War Games, huh? Remember?
Yeah, now it looks like an 80s teenager's bedroom.
Remember he hacks into the Whopper?
That's the end of that. Holy shit. Yes. So the idea that Chinese weather balloons might have passed over, weather balloons from all kinds of different countries. As a matter of fact, you know how much a weather balloon costs to send up? Probably somewhere in the order of $50. The balloon itself is the cheapest part. It's a couple of dollars. The stuff inside it, the helium, that'll run you a little bit. And then the gear depends, it's up to you. And you can hook up a GoPro to it with a GPS attached to it in a cooler so it'll float when it lands, and off you go. As a matter of fact, here you go, hold on. Somebody just did a, let's see, make your own spy balloon, I think. Yeah, Washington Post just did this article. Yeah, so let's bring this over here. This is an article that they just put up. Yeah, and by the way, nice work, Washington Post. Way to just totally. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why this is. What are you doing? How to build your own spy balloon. Remember in 2009 when that kid in Colorado was in balloon drifting, blah, 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 up, blah, blah, blah. Now we have this balloon floating. Two things. Here you go. So let's talk about how you make a floating metaphor for your own. Turns out releasing giant balloons in the upper atmosphere is not an activity constrained in international spycraft, but it's instead a hobby for any number of Americans. If you go on YouTube, you can find videos of people who filled large weather balloons with helium, attached cameras, and released them. Here's an example from an amateur astronomer. Right there. It's just take it out there, and they fill it up, and they drive it out thing, and then they look around, and it's lovely, and then they send it up, and this is the view from it down, and then it keeps going, and up it goes, and then it gets really high up, and then it finally settles after spinning and gets some really great footage like that, and annoys flat earthers, and then it fell to Earth, and then they had to use the GPS to find the fucking thing. That's how you do it. Not that hard. So. Just saying, it's not a big deal. These days, nothing's a big deal. You know how I know it's not a big deal? Because Greg Gutfeld is on the case. By the way, we might have to jump past the jokes and go straight to panel if this gets too painful.
Great.
This is So Gutfeld, just like Greg Kelly, in many ways feels a personal attachment to this story because he's full of hot air. Greg's full of hot air balloons.
What a great audience for Monday. Doesn't even feel like a Monday to me. All right. So, thank you.
His teleprompter wasn't working.
So, did you hear what China did? Yeah, they cloned super cows. Chinese scientists say they've cloned 3 calves that once grown will be capable of producing 50% more milk than the average American cow. So they're...
Which is bullshit, by the way.
Putting our cows out to pasture like voters did to Hillary. That is a reach, but I approve. By the way, I believe we have a picture of these new super cows.
All right, yeah. So we can skip this bullshit. And then Hunter, and then China. Oh, why is this a Kilmeade one? China insists balloon was just an air and civilian air drive. Okay. They slam Kilmeade, make a joke, run Forrest run. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's the best thing to happen in Montana since Custer's last stand. It was the only thing to happen in Montana since Custer's last stand. And perhaps...
All right, it's that bad. Just a series of anti-trans jokes and weird shit, and fly it into the Space Needle, and then here's the guests, and then they
Welcome tonight's guest! You may recognize him from the last time you Googled non-threatening white guy, co-host of the Big Money Show, Brian Brenberg. She was the only...
Or you could put their name on the screen under Tonight Gutfeld. I guess they're all gone. Everybody who works there just went home.
Lawyer whose clients asked her to remain silent. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagno. You know, critics said we'd never be able to book Time Out Magazine's Joke of the Year winner 2009, but here we are. WesternRazor.com owner, David Angelo. And finally, she's like a pretzel, twisted, salty, and better when smothered in hot mustard. Fox News contributor, Kat Tiff.
Yeah, his shit about her gets creepier by the week.
So, David, why the hat? What's on your head?
Well, you know, Greg, I've come on the show several times, and I'm always pumping the Western Razor Company. And I figure, you know what? I don't need to keep saying it. Let's just put it up here, get it out of the way, and then we can get down to business.
It's not doing very well, is it?
Yeah, you know, I'm living in the YMCA, and...
But you know what? We're talking about balloons here.
Oh, my God. Maybe we could use a razor to pop it.
You make razors. You must
fuck.
Have your own... You could have probably solved this problem much faster than our doddering president.
Well, you know, I think our operation is part of the reason why they sent that over here.
Really?
Made in America razors? Come on, we're threatening the entire industry. They're a little worried.
Yeah.
That's what I'm...
Oh, Jesus. I can't. Nope. I'm bailing out. It's like, it's bad. But that's just way too bad. And besides, I have another one waiting in the ring. Jesus Christ. That whole show is like that. That's all of it. God damn. All right. So screw that. Let's just go straight to the part on the 5, I think it was, where Judge Janine tells us all what you may think you know, but you don't know like Janine knows, man. Janine's gonna the judge is here to set you straight. Tell you what's up. This is House Parks Megaworldwide, and this is Judge Janine. This was an act of espionage. And scene.
Biden finally popping the giant Chinese spy balloon. But did it take too long for it to go boom? After letting it fly over most of the continental U.S., the military finally shooting this sucker down off the coast of South Carolina. The president, just a little while ago, says it was always his plan to take it out.
We made it clear to China what we're going to do. They understand our position. We're not going to back off. We did the right thing.
Has it always been your view to shoot down a Chinese spy balloon, or was it only because it became public?
No, it was always my position. Once it came over into the United States from Canada, I told the Defense Department wanted to shoot it down as soon as it was appropriate. They concluded we should not shoot it down over land. It was not a serious threat, and we should wait till it got across the water.
Clearly, this is his finest moment since Corn Pop.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a small gum drawer on that table with like callbacks.
Parts of this commie spy craft have been scooped up and sent over to the FBI for further analysis. And despite
which wouldn't have happened if you shot it down over ground. Well, it would have happened, but you would have less to work with.
Assuring the American people there was no threat, a senior U.S. official now says there may have been self-detonating explosives on the vessel, just like Jesse's hair. Republicans are reacting with
he just tried to save a flub.
their usual.
Yeah, you can always save a flub in your joking while you're hosting something by being a dick to one of your guests. It's always there. You know what I mean?
Pouncing.
It's like a favorite jacket that's always on the rack.
The message they were trying to send is what they believe internally, and that is that the United States is a once great superpower that's hollowed out, that's in decline. And the message they're trying to send the world is, look, these guys can't even do anything about a balloon flying over U.S. airspace.
Not a spy balloon.
And why would they need to send the balloon to give that message? Marco Rubio and Tom Cotton have been spreading that exact message for fucking ever. Well, at least since Biden took over. During Trump, they were like, I don't know, he's got him on the ropes. But all of a sudden, once Biden's in office, why do you even need the fucking balloon to show the world that, you know, we're not unified, we're dismantling our system from the inside out and all that kind of shit? Why would you even need that when you've got these guys? This asshole is a balloon that's constantly floating over Missouri.
Complete its spy mission before we shot it down.
No, the completion of the mission would be to return home unscathed or be picked up in the ocean somewhere once it falls after it runs out of power. That would be the completed mission.
I'm afraid is an embarrassment to the United States.
The president.
Maybe it was looking to see, maybe it was really headed for Puerto Rico. They just were like, what kind of good time is happening down there?
Taking it down over the Atlantic is sort of like the quarterback, sort of like tackling the quarterback after the game is over.
It makes us look weak and flat-footed on the world stage.
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, they were fucking pissed.
And China is pushing back against America, claiming what happened is a, quote, clear overreaction. And you can probably guess who agrees with that.
They love this. They love that Republicans turned this into this big drama. If you're going to spy, you're not going to send a giant balloon all across the United States for a week, right? I mean, the Chinese know how to spy. They, they can do it better. They wanted to create a crisis, a national crisis, an international crisis. They wanted it to be elevated and to be visible and be talked about, and they got it.
They're looking for experts on.
No, it was. That particular balloon is supposed to be flying at 100,000 feet, and it dropped down to 60,000 feet, and it became more of a problem because of that. That's it.
Giant balloons. You got to go to The View.
I mean, that's always my go-to.
Yeah, exactly.
And for foreign policy.
Yeah,
and I actually go to for foreign policy.
Everything could be handled better. That's good. You could say that about anything. What do you make of this in your sober, objective criticism?
I think hindsight is 20/20, right? But
did you just coin that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good phrase if you think about it. If you think, like, if hindsight, when you look back,
yes,
things are always perfect. A few things to raise. So Bloomberg reported that President Biden was keeping it quiet because he didn't want to give Republicans any fodder for suggesting he's weak on China.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let's see. Bloomberg. Biden. Balloon. That was easy. Let's see. politics. Excuse me. Get cited. Like a thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. They were testing us. Do you have the House Armed Forces? Being Leon Marlowe. Leon Marlowe trying to back up. I'm trying to find one that says something like that, and all they've got is just the current, like, latest on the balloon. All right, we'll work it out later.
I do think that if they had shot it down over Alaska and it had come down, there would have been criticism of, why did you shoot it down so quickly? You should have let it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot of sort of
Monday morning quarterbacking.
Point counterpoint on that. However, because they kept it quiet, they ensured that there would be more mystery. Now that there's more mystery, there are a lot more questions, including this thing where over the weekend, the administration from the Pentagon floats this thing that says 3 of these balloons came across during the Trump administration. Well, that story all fell apart pretty quickly because it's like, what do you mean by near? Everybody in the Trump administration, including the former president himself and everybody that was in national security said, no, I don't think so. So now the...
Well, that should solve it. No, I don't think so. Well, yeah, it did. I mean, we have the tracking data. No, you don't. Yes, I do. It's right there. No, you don't. How do you know? You don't even have clearance anymore. Fuck you.
The president is just hanging out there by himself. And if you think there's all the criticism is one thing, this is a moment where President Biden could have said, let's all rally together. Let's all do this together. I mean, this is tomorrow night is.
Let's all get together and hate the balloon as one united. This is like he should have stood on the rubble of the balloon with a bullhorn, going, the people who sent this balloon are going to hear us all very, very soon. Well, I don't know if do we send them balloons or what's the, I don't know. What's a 5-year anniversary?
When we talk about the State of the Union, we can all agree that this is not acceptable. We could all do that, but instead, because they tried to keep it quiet, it was never going to be kept quiet. Then they tried to basically blame President Trump or like try to sully Trump over this. That invited all these other conversations rather than just saying, we are united against China, and stay tuned for Tuesday night. I'm going to tell you more.
Yeah, you know, Jessica.
He should have. That was Biden's problem. He didn't use the balloon as an ad for the State of the Union.
It does seem that we should all be pointing fingers at China instead of each other. But having said that, is it fair to say that Joe is the Manchurian candidate under the thumb of the CCP?
That's actually what I was going to lead with.
Well, I knew because you're wearing red.
I was trying to be nice, and she's wearing blue, so let's see where that's going when she can talk. So this was really, I was thinking about the last time that there was kind of foreign policy outrage over what Joe Biden did. And Afghanistan is obviously the kind of motherlode of everybody is criticizing him. And that particular instance, he really wanted that, right? And the military, the Pentagon, and all the generals were saying, we need to do this at a slower rate. You can't just pull everyone out of there. We're going to be leaving people behind. We're going to lose lives because of it. We created a civil society there that's in tatters at this point. I mean, horrific stories of what's coming out there. This wasn't that, right? So Biden's first reaction, which is perfectly in line with his personality, was shoot it down.
In the leg.
It's funny.
No, it isn't.
Shoot it down. And the Pentagon said that's not what's safest. And can you imagine what would happen if suddenly there were explosive devices or if there was another, let's for those who think that COVID was a bioweapon, right?
Everybody's tweeting me. Everybody's copying my story. Like, as soon as I started putting that up, I'm taking credit, goddammit. Just like I own the phrase maggots, goddammit, I'm the one who started, like, the minute this started happening, chat room, you guys can back me up, that, like, I looked for anybody who was saying, you do realize that you could, fill that with a pathogen and say, hey, could we shoot it, if they shoot it down, would it be an effective way to spread it? Will they react to any of these things by shooting them down? So the next time we send them, we send 70 of them, and they, at different heights and speeds, and they all go down, and then anybody who shoots them, they land, and spread anthrax every fucking where. And nobody was mentioning it. Everyone was like, should they shoot it down, or should they wait, or is it doing anything? Are they jamming it? Like all the stuff we already fucking knew. Yeah, sparks, balloon pathogens. I said it right away, and I hit everybody with it. I reminded everyone. And by the way, even like Comer is going, how do we know it didn't have a bioweapon in it? Like, well, motherfucker, then you sure as shit don't want to shoot it down over the country. You don't want to shoot over Missouri or Kansas or even fucking Billings. I don't know a lot of people from those places, but I got nothing against them that would want them to get anthrax. Jesus. Like, I don't get it.
That leaked out of this plant in a lab in Wuhan. And there was something like that in the balloon. We had no idea what was going on there. And that would have been so much astronomically worse than what happened. So yes, of course, a few days of people able to see this thing and take pictures of it on their iPhones is obviously a problem. And we'll hear more about the previous balloons that apparently our technology couldn't even track properly, which speaks badly of us, right? If they have been floating these balloons even over Alaska, which last time I checked is ours, we should know about it every single time that happens. But I don't see how this is some major flaw in the Biden foreign policy apparatus or some major point of
Yeah, Greg's totally muted right now.
embarrassment. And I think that when people jockey for points with something like
Embarrassment to the U.S. Republicans rip Biden's handling of the Chinese spy balloon. He hasn't actually handled it. If you handle it, it could be dangerous. I'm just
this,
saying.
it kind of hollows out more valid arguments that they might make of where he has fallen short, like in Afghanistan.
Jesse, she makes a valid argument there. Care to retort?
Sure. So this thing flew across the entire country and got nothing? It didn't spy on anything? They never...
It didn't do this? We're supposed to believe that it wasn't supposed to do it? We're supposed to just let it keep taking pictures or listening to Huawei towers that Trump allowed them to put in until he flipped on them in the last year, and we're supposed to... They don't know this? I think it'd be worth it to spread anthrax over a large portion of the Midwest rather than have pictures taken or something like.
Never picked up any intelligence. Well, that's what Joe Biden's saying. Joe Biden's saying this thing came 4,500 miles across the continental United States, and trust me, it didn't pick up anything. That's the same thing they said about the woman that slept with Swalwell. She didn't really get much. Dianne Feinstein's...
What'd she get then? What'd she get? She got a ride home. And also, where is the evidence that she slept with him? Where is that story? I have been looking for a long time. The only stuff I can find is that she was a bundler for him and that she's young and Asian. And so, of course, fuckheads like this will just instantly sexualize her. So weird.
Driver was a Chinese spy for 20 years. He didn't really hear much in the back seat. They say
what about the Chinese spy that came to Mar-a-Lago while Trump was president?
that every time about China. I don't trust that. These Chinese guys are in Beijing with a little joystick. If they're not picking up anything, then why are they zigzagging the balloon over all of our military bases? Well, Joe said...
Because they couldn't pick something up here, and then they tried to try another site, and they're not picking anything up, and they're like, what? Is this thing not working? The fuck? It's supposed to work. It was floating, isn't it? Yeah, I know it's floating, and I know it moves where I want it to, but I'm not getting any signal. There's nothing coming out of it. Maybe they're jamming it with their airplanes. But Marco Rubio said they can't. You talked to him? Yeah, of course I did.
Says he took countermeasures. It's like when Jesse Jr. tries to hide in the living room. He takes a blanket and just throws him down. Where's Jesse? I don't know. Peekaboo. That's Joe Biden. How many times as the United States government says, we've taken countermeasures to make sure the Chinese don't steal our stuff? They've been saying that for 3 decades.
Yeah, it's interesting that they finally mean it.
But they keep stealing our stuff, so I'm not...
Yeah, what did they steal, dummy? What'd they get? What? Anything. What'd they get? Anything show me anything they can't find from Google Earth.
Taking Joe's word for it. Maybe we did black out the military bases. What if they flew over General Electric's headquarters, Caterpillar's headquarters, Berkshire Hathaway's headquarters? Do they have the countermeasures that the Defense Department has? Did Warren Buffett throw a blanket over his hard drive? Oh, they got nothing.
Yeah, they do. Wait a minute. You think the Chinese are the only people trying to break into Berkshire Hathaway's servers.
So I'm not really trusting what they're telling us. Now, imagine this happens with Trump.
It did happen with Trump.
Imagine the Chinese send $6 million to the Trump family. The Chinese send
17.
And $100 million to the Trump Center at Penn, and then
Yeah, there is no Trump Center at Penn because nobody wants to learn anything from it.
give Don Jr. a few diamonds. And then Trump lies all about it, tries to cover it up, and the Chinese float a spy device all over, and he doesn't touch the thing until after it spies on us. And
he didn't touch any of them during the entire time they were over the country.
Shoots it out of the sky. They would
He had spies, he had Chinese spies at Mar-a-Lago during his presidency. He took pictures with them.
impeach in a second. Montana has no one living in Montana. Alaska, even less people. You know how the radius was to pick up this thing that fell into the ocean? 7 miles. You're saying you couldn't find a 7 square mile area in Alaska or Montana to recover this thing? Last time I checked, too, when electronics get wet, they fizzle out. When it lands on land, they probably survive better.
Yeah, they're going to put it in a giant bowl of rice. Rice they're buying from China.
It's almost like Joe Biden wanted the balloon sack to get wet.
In the Pentagon.
The balloon sack?
It's almost like he wanted it to get wet. So the FBI
Or the military did?
Takes it. So the FBI now has the laptop and it has the Chinese balloon sack in Quantico.
The sack? No.
They're analyzing both. The best part about this is that Joe is overruled by the generals. Joe said shoot it down, and the general said, let's wait.
Yeah, right.
Let's wait.
Right.
Judge.
That's
a great point.
This is
First of all, he didn't say, let's shoot it down. They said, let's wait. He said, when can we do it safely? And they said, when it's over the ocean.
the latest act by China in terms of espionage
It is.
and spying on the United States.
Yes, the last time the lady who does my nails was looking at me squarely, and it says she's Korean, but I don't buy it.
And if we look at it any differently than that, then we are being naive. Whether it was those Confucius Institutes at the colleges, whether it's
Yeah, they were all there during Trump.
they're hacking into 100 American companies with the backing of the Chinese Communist Party, whether it's TikTok, the honeypots. It's a constant effort by China to sabotage the United States.
Right. And the Biden administration is taking more countermeasures against that than any administration in history. Your point.
States. And but for those reporters in Montana that we found out about, we would never have known about this. And I give you as evidence of that the fact that Biden had no intention of pulling Blinken back from going to China. Blinken wasn't pulled back until Friday, when Biden apparently knew and the administration knew on Saturday. But oh no, once the American people knew, I'm going to be tough. I'm not going to have Blinken go over there. Hogwash, we just called your bluff. Now, China says initially it was a meteorological surveillance. And
Right. And they knew China was saying that for a week. And on Friday, they called bullshit.
the U.S. was good with that. There's no problem here. They're just doing checking climate stuff. And so the White House then says they didn't get much of anything. Well, how the hell do you know that?
They have it.
And what are they doing hovering above our intercontinental ballistic missile sites? And I understand from military people that they can actually see the lay of the airplanes underground in
Oh, my
those
God.
missile sites.
You mean, thanks, Janine. Thanks. Great work, dummy. Now you've told everybody that the planes are there. Now we got to move them. Thanks. Yeah, maybe the Chinese satellites are, but now the Iranians know it and the Russians know it because you had to open your big trap.
And here's another one for you.
Don't tell, no more national secrets, Janine. I don't know who's slipping you these things.
Why the balloons? The balloons fly above aircraft. They fly 60, 80, 100,000 feet above ground. What does that tell you? That level of height doesn't permit the shooting of it down. In other words, an F-22 cannot take down one of these. It's not a damn balloon from a birthday party. It's a spy craft. An F-22 cannot take it down if it's 60, 80,000 or 100,000 feet up. So what we've got.
Well, it was. at 60,000 feet up. They did get it that they can't get it at 80 to 100. They would have to send something else. We have other planes that can fly that high. We also have missiles that can go, they fire and then it goes higher. You don't think we have any missiles that can go 20,000 feet? Never mind. It's so stupid.
Got is them hovering over Montana, our intercontinental ballistic sites, and Biden then says the military said, no, don't take it down. Hogwash. If we learned anything from Biden and Afghanistan, it's that the top generals, when they were put under oath, said, we told Biden you got to leave people there. We told Biden you have to leave people.
Yeah, they told everybody that. That's why we stayed in Afghanistan, you fucking dits. Oh my God. I don't know why they keep eating this shit all the time. I don't know.
People in Afghanistan. And Biden said, no, they never told me. They never warned me. The bottom line is this. When Karine Jean-Pierre gets up today and she says, well, it's up to China to decide what the relationship is, that's naive. It is up to us to set the parameters and to say, you have violated our sovereignty.
That's right. That's right. We just backhand him like that. Don't have her come out and go, look, China did this. And obviously they have different feelings about how they want to interact with the United States than we do. We are an open society and we would like to work, closely with our allies. It seems like China doesn't want to be an ally. Instead of poking them in a diplomatic way, Judge Janine wants to come out and goes, fuck these,
You have breached our security. There's going to be consequences.
Yeah, God damn it.
But not with this guy.
All right.
Yeah, well, there's going to be consequences, but not for 2 years, obviously, because you paid him $1 billion. And CHIPS Act, AUKUS agreement, greatest reshoring of factories in the history of the country.
Great start for a Monday, huh?
Yes, here we go.
No.
I think we could probably just go home.
Yeah, let's go home.
I recommend it. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. What are we doing? We got about a half hour till things start ramping up for that. By the way, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. I know you love it. I love you being here. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hi. Let's see, pieces by piece. Okay, let's just. Well, I don't know if this next piece will be as dumb as the others, as much as it's more just kind of absurd and angry comparatively. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Fucker Carlson. And Fucker, if you don't know, is a second-generation rich kid, just like Trump, except I think he has real money. And recently, and he's currently, I guess, being blackmailed by Matt Gaetz because Matt Gaetz knows the name of the woman that Tucker pretended was his wife when they had dinner with Tucker and some underage girl a while back, allegedly. And so that's an ongoing kerfuffle they're going to have to work out personally. But Tucker Carlson is, either the creator of or benefiting from the Russell Brand playbook. Everything is, they are lying to you, you knew it, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes with, Tucker, this is pure absurdity. I'm sorry you're late to the game. It's preposterous. It's preposterously absurd. Oh, yes. Oh. And so this is, I guess, about the balloon? Yes, this is Fox News host Tucker Carlson calls out the Biden administration. Finally, someone has the guts to. Lies and is handling the Chinese spy balloon on Fucker Carlson.
And welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight on...
No, I don't feel welcome. Most people don't.
Saturday, the 21st of January, American intel services watched, maybe slack-jawed, as...
Yes, they just... What happened?
It's a white helium balloon with an enormous payload.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling he felt more comfortable because it was white?
Swinging beneath it, lifted off from central China and began to float east over the North Pacific on the way here to the United States. Within a week, it had arrived. On January 28th, the balloon entered U.S. airspace over Alaska. From there, it traveled...
By the way, what the fuck is wrong with, Tennessee? You guys don't think there's anything worth seeing in Tennessee? Yeah, I guess... I guess the message from Fox News and everybody is, fuck you, Tennessee. Nothing to see here.
Over the Northwest Territories of Canada, and then it dropped back into the United States over Idaho. By last Wednesday, February 1st, it was spotted by civilians in the skies over southern Montana. A man staring out of the window of an office building in Billings saw what he thought was a UFO. It was too small to be a moon, he said.
That's no moon.
And so he began to take pictures, which soon appeared on social media. And then almost immediately, the airspace over Billings, over the entire town, was shut down. Commercial flights were diverted. F-22 Raptors arrived from a nearby Air Force base, along with refueling tankers and an AWACS surveillance plane. It was a big story. So it was at this point, when the existence of an unauthorized Chinese military aircraft over the continental United States,
when it sunk down from its initial height,
became impossible to hide or deny. At that point, officials around Joe Biden finally decided to tell him about it. Now, we don't know
why'd they never tell Trump about any of them before. Weird.
Joe Biden's reaction to this news, but we do know his response. Biden did.
A distinction without a difference, but I think it should have been shock, but it was probably joy. My friends have sent me a balloon for my birthday. Is it full of ice cream? Is that what we're supposed to think?
Did nothing. He did not order the balloon shot down. He did not call for sanctions or punishment of any kind against the Chinese government that sent it.
Yeah, until they checked it out. Weird.
It was not until this weekend, when the aircraft had traversed the entire United States, including
except for Tennessee, because fuck them,
at least one classified nuclear weapons installation, that an Air Force jet finally pierced it with a Sidewinder missile off the coast of South Carolina. Debris was still fluttering toward the ocean when the administration began telling lies, many of them, about what had happened.
Terrible.
That balloon posed no threat to American national security, the Biden administration claimed. Why? Because the balloon never transmitted data back to China.
How do you know?
Now, how could officials know that?
How do they know that? What if it has a special mega ray? I mean, using physics, there's only really two ways. Radio waves and a satellite connection would be the two primary ways you would send that back and forth. And you can check for both, and you can jam both if you're in range. So, but I mean, maybe they just have a magic dragon ray that flies or whatever.
They never explained. Nor did they say whether.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We figured out how to block the stuff, and we know it can't transmit. How do you be sure of that? Oh, we use this special device. You want to see a picture of a diagram of how it's made? Yeah.
The Chinese military would send one of its aircraft all the way to the U.S. without a satellite uplink.
Might also be that their satellites are fucked.
Apparently, the Chinese just forgot. They're not very good at technology.
No, they aren't.
It was a nonsensical claim. But as far as we know, not a single reporter in Washington pressed the administration to explain that claim. And that's not really surprising. Reporters in Washington no longer dig, they transcribe. And what they...
And by the way, Tucker Carlson, not a reporter, and I guess someone in his office writes this shit up for him.
What they transcribe next is almost enough to make you cynical about the role of the press in a free society.
Cynical about it? You mean that that we shouldn't have one? That a free society is better off without the press?
It turns out, and we learned this from unnamed officials on background, that allowing Chinese military aircraft to surveil your country, including your missile silos, is not the big deal the rest of us thought it was. In fact, it's routine. It happens all the time. Trump did it too. Quite a bit of it, actually. At least 3 Chinese spy balloons flew over this country while Donald Trump was president, and despite the anti-China rhetoric, he just let them pass. You didn't know that. Now you do, so settle down. This is normal.
Yes, it is, because Trump was trying to get a deal with them. I mean, go back and look at how Trump talked about Xi Jinping during the lead up to COVID.
In other words, everything Donald Trump did while president is bad, except this, letting Chinese spy balloons fly over the country. That's very good.
What? I'm all of a sudden, wait. So the idea is that they aren't implying that Trump did something bad by letting them go over. they're saying it's no big deal. It's fine. There were a bunch of them over him, and everything's cool. Like it's a good thing. What? The Biden administration is so into Chinese spying and Chinese spy balloons that they were just trying to compliment Trump on letting them in. Well, this is actually I was expecting more just sort of like pissy, impotent anger. But yeah, this is just as dumb as everyone else's take. Well done, if not more so. This is just like at least Judge Jeanine was reading from a sheet of actual details, however mangled her interpretation of them were. Listen to that again.
Except this, letting Chinese spy balloons fly over the country, that's very good. And we're taking a lesson from him. So virtually every news organization.
I got tuckered. I got tucker face. Like I literally, I understand. Like I think his face does this all the time because he hears what he's about to say and his face can't stop it. So it just goes, what the fuck is about to come out of my face? Like that's what it is. I always thought it was just his lack of comprehension of what other people were saying, or just a frozen look that he thinks has some value, and so he just holds it when other people are talking to make it sound like he's listening, right? That's the other thing. But it turns out, no, it's just his own face fighting against his stupid ideas.
In this country repeated that claim, including some who should know better. And of course, as soon as
no one repeated that claim that the Biden administration is saying that Chinese spy balloons flew over during the Trump administration, and that was good.
Credulous reporters wrote their dishonest stories. The Democratic Party and the television stations it controls repeated those stories as fact, which was the whole point. Watch.
They are saying we should have shot down the balloon the minute we saw it. I would use two words in answering these GOP criticisms. They are premature and they are political.
This is why we voted for Joe Biden, because imagine if this had happened under Donald Trump. The way in which the balloon...
By the way, it did happen under Donald Trump. It just didn't... Nobody ever saw it in Billings.
Was taken down allows us to retrieve the parts of the balloons to see what was actually in there.
I'm just glad that there was...
Again, what part of that is false?
No damage or threat to U.S. aviation operations, and that this operation took place was done in a very effective, excellent way.
Some of the statements from the Republicans, especially in the Senate, have just been asinine, and these jackasses going out again, I'll get my shotgun, I'm going to shoot down the balloon. Seriously, they make clowns of themselves.
So the balloon shut down the airspace over Billings, Montana, including the...
Yeah, all the flights coming in and out of Billings, Montana. Billings, hold on. Let's go with Billings, let's find out. Let's take a little trip, shall we? Billings, Montana, big sky country. Here we go. It's Billings, Montana. Is Billings, Montana? Here we go. This is Google. Is Billings, Montana a good place to live? Billings is a fun and adventurous town. If you love trails and breweries, the town is perfect for you. We have always felt safe in our neighborhood and in most places around town. Like most cities in America, Billings does have drugs and crime. That's the people asked. That was the answer. Billings, Montana reviews in niche is the first thing that came up. Why is Billings, Montana famous? That's a good way. The city serves as a gateway to Yellowstone National Park and Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument. It's home to the Montana State University, founded as okay, blah, blah. And it does have drugs and crime. What percentage of blacks are in Billings, Montana? Holy shit, 1.1%. Can you? Native Americans 4.7%. Everybody else is fucking zero. White as shit, and you can tell that like a bunch of people are looking up like, where's someplace really white I can move? Like, that's the third most asked question, really? Holy shit. Okay, City of Billings, let's see. Billings, Montana, official website. Here we go. Population, 119,000 people. Clearly a giant metropolitan site. They've got a library. There's a court. There's a thing on public safety. Here's a map. There's good old Billings. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, Billings, Montana. Let's see. Let's go. What are the pros and cons of living in Montana? Pros and cons: an amazing outdoor setting, limited effects of urbanization, reasonable cost of living, plenty of jobs and education options, interesting residents, extreme diverse weather, lacking in urban amenities, too many tourists. There you go. That's fucking Billings. There you go. So Billings, Montana, and let's go. What's the airport there? Billings Airport, Montana. There's the official website. Let's check out the airspace over Billings, which is mostly military. There you go. Look at that. This guy's going where he's going on time. Here's some flights. This is one of those airports, and trust me, as a comedian, I know it well, where you miss a flight or a flight is canceled, and you go, when's the next flight? And they go, tomorrow or early the next day. You can get out by Tuesday morning. That's a phrase I've heard multiple times in places like Billings, Montana. There you go. And there's one American Airlines flying to Dallas. That's a hub. One United flying to Denver. That's a hub. And then another late American flight coming from Phoenix. I see. And then look at this Cape Air shit. These are like this is like getting you everywhere else. Just regional as fuck. Okay, so the airspace, obviously, I'm surprised you guys didn't feel it. It was just like another COVID lockdown.
The airport, and as it moved east, commercial pilots said they were afraid of it. They were afraid of
oh, dear God. Emotionally?
Hitting it. So it's funny to see the
They were afraid of hitting it at 35,000 feet.
Transportation secretary who's in charge of all of this tell us it posed no threat. No threat.
It was at 60,000 feet. Yeah, it's not going to hit your plane. I'm just saying. If you're a commercial airliner, it's not going to hit your plane. If you're in a little puddle jumper, it's definitely not going to hit your plane.
The transportation. But the best is the dismissal of anyone who has concerns. It's those Republicans again with their moonshine and their shotguns and their extra chromosomes, thinking it's okay to shoot down Chinese spy balloons. When every sophisticated person...
No. It has nothing to do with whether it's okay. They can't do it. Shooting guns up into the sky to try and hit something 60,000 feet away ends up with bullets in your neighbor's yard, dummy.
Person knows. Donald Trump himself knew the best way to handle Chinese spy balloons, let them pass. Again, just like Trump did. Trump, he's good all of a sudden.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that argument is. That's so odd. It's like is anybody else like it's like somebody pulled a fucking fuse in his forehead. That like the lack of like logic and comprehension. I mean, it's always bad. He's being dickish. It's one thing I don't like blaming Trump and then saying he's good all the time. It's such a mixed message. Like I don't even think he understands what his writers are setting up for him to say, so he's filling in gaps. This is really fucked up.
So the question is, did Donald Trump let Chinese military aircraft float over the United States unmolested while he was president? Well, someone asked him. He says he didn't.
Yeah. Because he didn't see him because he wasn't looking. That was the point. And what else is he going to say? Yeah, I did, and I'd do it again, see? Get the fuck out of here.
In an interview yesterday, Trump said he had no idea there were any Chinese...
Yeah, that was the problem, stupid.
...spy balloons over the United States when he was president. And he seemed to mean it.
He seemed to mean it. Yes, yes, he was busy golfing. We get it. I don't think he actively allowed Chinese spy balloons to go over the fucking country. I don't think he gave a fuck or cared to know. He didn't read his PDB. He didn't read other stuff and go, wait a minute, guys. Anybody notice that when this happened, we got this, like, obviously the satellites aren't picking this stuff up. You say we intercepted these from a spy. This is an angle you're not going to get from a satellite. Like, there's no moment where he's fucking going over paperwork in the residence at the White House and like fucking Sherlock Holmes. He didn't give a fuck.
But it wasn't just Trump. Trump's former national security advisor said the same thing. He said he'd never heard anything about Chinese spy balloons over the country.
By the way, Flynn or...
And you would think that he would have heard. Then
No, not if they weren't tasked to look for them. That was the point.
General in charge of NORAD, Glenn Van Herk, had the very same reaction. Quote, "It's my responsibility to detect threats to North America. I will tell you that we did not detect those threats." So,
right, it doesn't mean the threats weren't there.
Somehow NORAD, the most sophisticated, supposedly, monitoring system in the world, missed those Chinese spy balloons too, 3 of them. And by the way, so did the director of national intelligence, the man whose job it is to know America's secrets. He said he never heard of Chinese spy balloons over the country during the Trump administration. Here's former DNI John Radcliffe.
Do you remember during the Trump administration when photographers on the ground and commercial airline pilots were talking about a spy balloon over the United States that people could look up and see even with the naked eye, and that a media that hated Donald Trump wasn't reporting? I don't remember that either because it didn't happen.
Yeah, we knew. We know they were in the range of 80,000 to 100,000 feet. One of the reasons why this became a problematic one was because it was lower than that. And by the way, apparently the one near the beginning is why they saw was closer to 80 to 100,000 feet, and they ratcheted up their surveillance. Hence this one. Biden administration offers to brief Trump officials on past Chinese spy balloon incursions. Officials in the last administration denied that the airships had flown over the U.S. on their watch. The Biden administration is willing to brief former Trump officials on newly discovered intelligence that China sent spy balloons into U.S. airspace during their time in charge. The offer, described by senior Biden administration officials on Sunday night, comes as former President Donald Trump and senior members of his national security team say they were never briefed on such an incursion by Beijing sent aircraft. This information was discovered after the prior administration left. The intelligence community is prepared to offer key officials from the Trump administration briefings on China's surveillance program, one of the officials said. The official, along with several others, asked not to be named in order to discuss sensitive information. Briefers would also be willing to discuss Beijing's similar operations in East Asia, South Asia, and Europe over the last several years. The official said the proposal to bring the Trump officials is the latest development following the military shoot-down of a Chinese spy balloon on Saturday, 7 days after it entered the U.S. airspace.
It didn't happen, said the former director of national intelligence. You can see why he thinks that. So again, according to media accounts, at least one of these 3 Trump-era Chinese spy balloons floated all the way to Texas in the center of the country. And yet inside the U.S. government at the very highest levels, no one seemed to know that it happened. Well, how could that have occurred, really?
Well, obviously it's a 9/11 was an inside job kind of a thing, clearly.
Well, the Biden administration had an answer. Speaking on background to its shills in the media, unnamed
All right, well, at least we're not putting our thumb on the opinion scale.
officials explained that these Chinese spy flights were actually never reported to President Trump or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff or even to the Secretary of Defense. Why weren't they reported? Because they weren't important enough. They were, quote, relatively minor territorial incursions. Okay, so a Chinese military aircraft hovering over Texas more than 1,000 miles from the Pacific Ocean is a minor territorial incursion.
Well, it was considered that during the Trump administration.
That's what they said.
They also didn't. Trump notoriously hated bad news.
It's pure absurdity. But
isn't it?
Once again, no reporter in Washington pushed back. They just repeated the lie. And then without warning, the White House changed its talking point, undermining the first lie. Actually, they explained today, nobody knew that Chinese spy balloons were floating over America during the Trump administration. We didn't know. We just found out pretty recently. Watch the smarter but more dishonest White House spokesman spin that tale.
I can tell you that we discovered these flights after we came into office. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how we did the forensics. I think you can understand that we're going to be careful about that.
They're not going to get into the specifics of the forensics. Oh, the forensics. But the one thing they were really...
God, the desperation. By the way, you know what? I take it back. I think the Republican talking machine is well-oiled and is running at like... It's got a light purr to it. It's like an old... dare I say, Corvette.
Really shocked by when they took control of the U.S. government was how soft on China Trump was. They had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
He was letting these Chinese spy flights go over. They were shocked.
No. It was the parts where they showed up at Mar-a-Lago and had dinner with him that was the problem.
As shocked as anyone would be. That's what they're saying. Now, of course, once again, they can't say more because it's classified. Wish we could. Sorry. So what is the real...
By the way, there's often, the God of the gaps idea that atheists complain about science and other people's belief systems, that if they can't explain it with science, they spackle the hole with God using the God of the gaps theory. This would be the either conspiracy of the gap story or the collusion of the gap story in their particular parlance in regard to Biden administration being owned by China. That's you'll constantly see that. It must be the
real story here. Honestly, we don't know. The Pentagon ignored our many questions today. Of course they did, because we're not going to...
Because they're stupid.
...transcribe them.
Not the Pentagon. There's the questions.
So once again, the people who owe you the truth are lying to you.
All right. This is so does Tucker and Tulsi Gabbard and Russell Brand all have a phone tree together?
So all tonight
where they come up with these titles and chyrons?
Know with certainty is that the Chinese military just flew an aircraft that reportedly contained explosives over the entire length of the United States and got away with it.
No, they didn't. We watched the whole thing. It didn't explode, and we shot it down over water. They got away with it during the Trump administration. But why would you believe that? Because it didn't, you never saw it. So why? Thank God we never saw it, so you don't have to believe it was there.
That seems like a bad precedent.
No, the bad precedent would be leaving it up there and not doing anything about it. All right, I'm going to sign out for you guys so we can all go watch the SO2 and enjoy that. And we'll see if any of the Republicans try to print talking points or video clips for the Russian media tonight by booing at certain points or refusing to stand for Ukraine funding or those kind of things. They'll be those folks. That and it's nice because it while it's irritating and sad and gross, it also lets you know exactly where people stand. And I would rather have my grossness kind of out in the open, right, chat room? Much love to you guys. Take care. Thanks for everybody who supports the show. Thank you for the subscriptions and the super chats and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Philip Bittner will be joining us in the morning show for the second hour. And then I'll have a special guest on Friday if I can work that out. Wish me luck as I try to make the system work better. I got another test to do right after I watch this. Never mind. You don't need to know this. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Okay, bye.